Hello again. I'm back, and as I promised before, I'm going to share some keto recipes for you, especially for baking. And today, we're going to make a pumpkin pie. Luckily, this is pretty simple. It's not going to include too many ingredients outside of what I've went through before there, and the pie recipes right on the can. But the important thing here is going to be the crust, since we can't be using the normal flour. So let's go over this. First thing before we get anything going, get your oven preheating 425 degrees as per the can there. And let's start with this crust. So, like I said, we're going with flour, with almond flour. Okay, so we're gonna start with our almond flour crust here. So we're gonna need 2.5 cups of almond flour in your mixing bowl. Now we're going to need 1/3 of a cup of sweetener. I use the monk fruit. If you have the erythritol, that works as well. As long as it measures the same as sugar. That's very important. Quarter teaspoon of kosher salt. And we're going to mix all this together. Alright, once that's mixed, we're going to want to get a quarter cup or half a stick of butter and melt it. Okay, we got the butter melted. We're going to add this to our dry mixture. We're going to add 1 egg. And we're going to add half a teaspoon of vanilla. Now this here will be fine for the crust and will taste good, but I like my crust to have a little more flavor to it as well. So I'm going to actually take some of the seasoning I'll be using for the pie itself and throw it in here. So that's going to be a little bit of cinnamon, a little ground cloves, and a little bit of ground ginger. Now I've never measured this out. I just kind of changed the color, light dusting, a bit more cinnamon than the other ones. The ground cloves are a very strong flavor. You will not need a whole lot of that. But as soon as you start putting these in, it's immediately going to smell like pumpkin pie. There's our ground ginger there. Now you're going to want to mix this all really well, but it's not going to be super doughy. It's going to be pretty flaky, and you'll have to press it together quite a bit, and that's exactly what you're looking for here. So give it a good mix, really incorporate all that stuff together very well. Okay, once that's all done, you're going to want to get your pie pan out. And you're either going to want a very good non-stick one, or you could put a piece of parchment on the bottom or just grease it really well. This happens to be very good non-stick, mostly because it's new. Most of my stuff isn't that great. And we're just going to dump that filling, or that pie crust, into the pan. And as you can see there, it's very flaky, but it's all moist, which is the important part. And we're going to start just using your fingers. You're going to form a crust all the way around. You're going to try to make it as even as possible. Perfectly even is going to be pretty impossible, unless you're my grandma, then it'll be perfect. We're just going to press all the way around. And you're going to want to get this to the very top, if not a little bit higher than the top of the pan, because this is going to be your reservoir for our pumpkin filling here in a little while. Oh, there's the oven ready to go. You don't want that pumpkin spilling over. Don't want to waste anything. It tastes way too good to ruin some good pumpkin pie. And like I said before, when you add those seasonings to the crust, it already is starting to smell like pumpkin pie, and I'm already getting hungry for it. Okay, so there we go. I got a nice edge all the way around it, and it's not perfectly even, and it doesn't have to be. But it's all pressed together, it's not going anywhere. This is going to go off to the side, and now we're going to get our pumpkin mixture together. Like I said before, I'm a big fan of tried and true recipes, and I've never gone wrong with the recipe just on the back of the can of pumpkin. But if you have a favorite recipe, go ahead and use it. Generally, all you're going to have to adapt is the type of sweetener, and as long as it's cup for cup with sugar, it's going to work. Like I said, again, I'm using the monk fruit here. So, first things first, sugar, or substitute thereof. I'm going to go 3/4 of a cup here. Okay, then we're going to get our seasonings out here. So, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of cinnamon. And half a teaspoon of the cloves and ginger each. Just mix that together. And like when I was making the crust, just these seasonings together have that smell of pumpkin pie. Now you can cheat and just get pumpkin pie seasoning that's all blended. I don't think it's as good. Okay. There we go. Now for the wet ingredients. We're going to start with a couple eggs. We're going to beat up these eggs a little bit here. And we're going to add our can of pumpkin. Mix those together. Add in our sweetener flavor mix here. Get this all well incorporated. The mixture is going to get darker. Let that cinnamon and cloves in there. Once that's pretty well incorporated, we're going to take our can of evaporated milk and slowly start incorporating this in. Little by little is easier, and this is going to lighten everything back up to that color you expect pumpkin pie to be. It's also going to make it much more liquidy. And there we have it. Nice liquidy mass of pumpkin. Now, it's going to look, the color that is going to look like you expect pumpkin pie, but it's going to be much waterier than you would expect. And that's just perfect. So we're going to take this and we're going to put it into our pie pan. We got our crust here, ready to go. We're going to slowly pour this in here. Now this recipe, depending on your pan, might just have a little bit too much, or it might be perfect. And I like to make sure it goes as high as I can before it starts to spill, which is just about there. And I have a little bit left. I have a little trick for that. I'm gonna just pour it into my metal mixing bowl over here. And into the oven this goes. So I'm going to bake this pie as the instructions on the can say. So it's 15 minutes at 450, then you knock it down to 350 and another 40 to 50 minutes. And when a clean knife or toothpick comes out, it's done. Then we need to let it cool. Now, for my little bit of leftover pumpkin pie mixture, I'm the basic white guy. I love me some pumpkin. So I'm going to bake this up as well. And it's going to be pretty easy. Metal mixing bowl works great. I'm just going to throw it in next to it. It's going to cook a lot faster than the rest of the pie, so got to keep an eye on it. So here we are. Here is our completed pumpkin pie, cooling on the rack. As you see, the crust came out a bit dark. Perfectly normal for this crust. I'd probably prefer it not, but that's just the way it works. And there's my little bit of spare there. You could go ahead and just throw some whipped cream on there, or throw this in with a protein shake. Make anything pumpkin. It's delicious. Hope you liked this video. If you have anything else you'd like to see, just leave a comment below. Like, share. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much.